I'm going to start my talk this morning with a short story. About 15 years ago, I had a minor surgery on my shoulder. It was an outpatient situation, and recovery time was set for about a week. I left the hospital with my left arm in a sling and strict instructions to go home and rest, to keep my arm still and comfortable for at least a few days. The next day, I called my mom, and in the course of that conversation, we decided that she would come over and we would paint my kitchen. A project that I had sitting in the back of my mind for a few months. I even had the paint color picked out, a lovely, soft, creamy lemon yellow. So the next day, my mom and I painted the kitchen. Me with one arm in a sling and an ice pack fastened to my shoulder, attending to the bits within my reach, while my mom perched on a chair and painted everything near the ceiling. When the nurse called later that day to follow up and make sure I was recovering well, she gave me a good lashing when I disclosed that instead of resting, I had painted my kitchen. I tried to explain the sweet lemon color, but the nurse was unconvinced, and I was very perplexed. I share this story because it has been a reference point for me in my evolution and awakening and understanding that rest and recovery are deeply political acts and sources of resistance, renewal, and transformation. Until the nurse scolded me, I really had no sense that painting my kitchen the day after surgery was not the best path for healing. Later, I would understand this moment differently and notice that my impulse to paint the kitchen revealed bigger truths about my life, my family, and the wider culture of exhaustion and productivity in the United States. And I was playing it out in the sanctity of my own home. Rest was something very elusive to me. My lower white working class background had taught me that work, productivity, busyness would all save me from poverty. That work was salvific, respectable, honorable, and a way to move up in the world. I had bought into this mythology hook, line, and sinker, so much so that I was willing to sacrifice my health and well-being for a soft, creamy yellow kitchen, just so I could feel productive. I was, at that time, a card-carrying member of the I'll Rest When I'm Dead club. And I didn't rest or sleep for a long time. It was the only way I knew to stay alive. A few notes on sleep. Did you know that Americans are chronically exhausted? According to the CDC, approximately 30% of Americans are sleep deprived. Collectively, we are struggling for good restorative sleep, and this is a health crisis among us. In Colorado, where our lives are lush with wilderness and sky, the average drops just slightly beneath the national at 33%. For people of color, sleep deprivation rates are even higher than the national average. According to research out of Yale in 2022, Black Americans experience significantly more sleep disruptions than white Americans, resulting in chronic sleep deprivation. And there are, we know, significant impacts on human health when people are sleep deprived. Not only are we crankier, but we're vulnerable to a whole host of chronic diseases. The sleep crisis is a health crisis. Tricia Hersey, author of the brilliant book Rest is Resistance, a Manifesto, and author of our chalice lighting words this morning, is deeply interested in the politics of rest as a space where Black people reclaim their bodies, agency, dreams, and time stolen while enslaved to make money and profits for white American capitalists. For Hersey, rest is resistance, rest is reparations. As bishop of the NAP ministry, Hersey outlines the tenets of her NAP ministry and outline that names rest as political and liberational work. And here are the tenets. Number 1, rest is a form of resistance because it disrupts and pushes back against capitalism and white supremacy. Number 2, our bodies are a site of liberation. Number 3, naps provide a portal to imagine, invent, and heal. Number 4, our dream space has been stolen and we want it back. We will reclaim it via rest. Think about how sleep has been stolen. The NAP ministry is a powerful, transformative practice for a hurting, tired, exhausted world, and those of us in predominantly white spaces need to pay attention. Neglecting rest and our failure to center the healing and restorative power of rest in our communities is one way whiteness and white supremacy is embodied in our communities. It is unhealthy for all of us. And it is past time for us to reclaim and center rest and well-being as part of our commitment to collective care, solidarity, and building the beloved community, and embrace a practice of disruptive rest. There is a tendency, I think, to notice rest as something that is separate from the whole of our lives, disengaged from the problems of the world, which means we aren't participating in the solutions. Rest is a distraction from the work of justice. But what if the habits and rituals of rest in which we discover ourselves and each other and we dream again are really part of the justice-making work, as Hersey suggests? Reclaiming rest is a reclamation of our time, and it returns us to connection with self, spirit, community, and yes, the simple joy of being alive, of feeling whole and loved by the world simply because we are. What if rest is a radical act of solidarity as we challenge hustle culture and resist compulsive doing that distracts us from being in our lives, being in love, and being the love? One of the reasons I was so drawn to you, to this fellowship, was how motivated you are to get things done. I think you might have helped me paint my kitchen. You embrace change and new projects, creating and co-creating new futures with dedication and commitment, especially this year, as we live our values powerfully in the world as advocates, leaders, and agents of change. We are a people that say yes to life and living our values boldly, loudly, and passionately. And I know, and I can witness, that it is also exhausting, especially as we meet the challenges of our time. We can't do everything all the time, especially if we're all sick and tired. We won't be great allies and agents of change. We simply won't have the energy to bend the arc of the moral universe towards justice. Saying yes to rest and renewal, giving ourselves and each other permission to make restfulness a priority makes us stronger and more resilient. And wonderfully, and we see this in our beautiful chalice today, rest can take many forms. It can be making room for more naps, but it can also look like creativity, time in nature, meditation, cooking, reading, time with friends, time with pets, daydreaming, my personal favorite, or just about anything that returns your body and spirit to a place of grace and connection with the deepest parts of yourself, the parts that a culture of busyness and productivity want you to avoid. The challenge is to make this a living and loving commitment for us to make a living and loving commitment to our collective rest. It sounds hard, and yet it is the most important thing we can do in this moment. This summer, following Pine Song in July, I too will welcome daydreams and naps, taking long walks and gazing at the sky until my spirit softens and opens. I want to tend lovingly to the light of love and hope that abides in my soul and reclaim my right to rest deeply and meaningfully. I want to remember the dream of beloved community and have it take root in my soul so I can return in the fall excited and energized to meet our mission so we can love courageously, inspire spiritual growth, and keep working for justice. And I want that for you too. Our shared ministry needs every single one of us to tend to our light and the light of our beautiful community. We need to fill our cups with the things that bring us home to ourselves, reminding us of our divine beauty and our divine purpose. May it be so, and blessed be.